7 ways to make better gains at the gym. If it's your first time here, hi, I'm Alicia. I'm an online coach and I love to lift. You might be browsing my channel, see a lot of beauty content. Well, yes, more fitness content is coming, but if you love to apply eyeshadow too, then I'll see you in that video. Number 1 might be a hard truth to swallow, but it's that you're not working hard enough. And I get there's a lot to that. Potentially it's because the effort that's required to give your muscle the right stimulus to grow, to actually be worth the adaptation of growing in muscle size and increasing the strength, it's just not there. I'm not saying to handle a weight that's way too heavy that you're gonna get hurt from, but be honest with yourself. Are you actually applying the concept of progressive overload, increasing the load over time, or even increasing the number of reps over time? And are you keeping track of the exercise, the weight, and the reps? If you're not, and you're just going by memory and you're just going by feel, well, it's pretty hard to keep track. You can't measure what you're not tracking. If you don't have the data, then we don't know if you're working hard enough. And I say that because depending on the day, if you don't get great sleep or you're stressed or what have you, and you're just going by feel, well, it might be hard that day because your body's just not optimized for its best performance. And if you don't have anything to look back on, for instance, if you're doing lunges with 2 20-pound dumbbells and the last time you did the lunges, you did 12 reps right and left, you're having a bad day, you grab the 20s and they feel heavy and you can only do 8 because you didn't keep track of what you did last time. You're like, okay, 8's enough. And then you do lunges again. They might be 8, they might be 10, they might be 15. Psychologically, because you feel it's tough, you're not going to push yourself as hard as if you would know what you're aiming for. If you saw that you did 12 last time, and even though the 20s feel heavy, you might still hit 12, 13, or even 14. So keep track, work a little harder, and you'll see you'll get results slowly over time. Randomized programming. I'm gonna do kickboxing today, I'm gonna do Pilates tomorrow, I'm gonna do yoga in this day. You could do all those things. I think it's fantastic to diversify what your body is exposed to in terms of various modalities. But when it comes to building muscle, when it comes to increasing strength, you need to follow some sort of split, whether it's the bro split, the body part split, a full body split, upper, lower, push, pull legs, whatever. I like upper body or full body because just based on my own physique goals, I don't think it necessary to dedicate a day to chest or even to have a dedicated push day, but that's just me. When you have a program, like I had mentioned in point number 1, you then can take down your data. You can keep track of your exercises, your weight, and your reps and your sets. You can see what exercises you're doing over a length of time. If you feel you've been doing the back squat for 6 to 8 weeks and you want to do front squats for another 6 to 8 weeks, well, you have the opportunity to make that change because you're keeping track of everything. If you're constantly changing what you're doing, your body won't have the opportunity to improve on that exercise and to then apply progressive overload. If you're constantly changing the exercises that you're doing, how can you tell that you're actually improving in that exercise? And I get it. People usually like to mix things around because they want to keep themselves distracted. That's how they'll stick to the program. Newsflash, is going to get boring sometimes. It will feel boring to do the same back squat day in and day out. But guess what? That's how you improve. That's how you become stronger. That's how your body learns to adapt so you can safely increase the weight because guess what? You've been practicing the squat for a number of weeks and months. You might not feel jazzed about doing the same routine, but the old boring stuff is what works. That's what people rely on, and that's what you see yields the results from all these individuals, whether they're bodybuilders, they're CrossFitters, what have you. They do the same thing all the time. And that doesn't mean they do fun things here and there. But if you want to see results, if you want to see your body change in regards to muscle growth and increasing in strength, you can't be doing random things all the time. You got to stick to some sort of program. Paralysis by analysis. You obsess over what that optimized program is for you. It's a lot of trial and error. You're not going to get it right all the time. It comes down to experimentation, learning about your body, what it needs, what you like, what you don't like. I don't get wrapped up in if full body is better than upper lower, if this lunge is better than that lunge. I try to do as many different lunge variations as I can within reason. And I said, yes, no randomized, but there can be variety within a program. You're still doing a lunge, whether it's with dumbbells, Bulgarian style, or you're on the Smith machine. You're still doing a squat, whether it's a barbell squat, goblet squat, sumo squat. You're still doing a hinge, whether it's conventional dead, RDL, or on the 45-degree hyper. Variety doesn't necessarily mean randomness, but paralysis by analysis could get you too into the nitty-gritty. And because you're overwhelmed by the insurmountable amount of information out there, it's like, what do? You end up just doing nothing. Just start with your basic hip hinge, knee flexion movement, your horizontal push-pull, your vertical push-pull, your abdominal exercise, maybe little calves, it helps with the knees. And once you get into your groove, you'll start to experiment, and then you'll fall into the split that's right for you. Not only for your body, but for your lifestyle, for the frequency with which you can visit the gym. If you do the home workouts, then you find the frequency that works, where you could step away from your workspace and dedicate time in your home for exercise. Whatever it is, don't get too wrapped up with the details. Work as hard as you can. Choose a program, choose the exercises that are best for your body, that are best for what you're looking to achieve, and stick with it. This is more specific to women, and because I am a female, I have direct experience with this, to not get wrapped up with the cycle syncing. I think it's great to learn about your cycle, the different phases of it, but to only lift weights every 2 weeks, you're not going to get any muscle size from that. You might, but it's like taking the longest route possible to the destination of building muscle. You have to lift consistently over a number of months, and taking a deload every 2 weeks because you're in your luteal phase is going to be detrimental to your gains. That doesn't mean that you have to hit a PR or lift heavier than last time. Maybe you just lift the weight that you did last time. Maybe you do 2 sets instead of 3 with that same weight. Maybe you take longer breaks between your exercises. There are lots of ways to turn the dials and to adjust for that part of your cycle, but to not lift at all, I think is a huge mistake. If that's what you want to do, fine. But if you're struggling with putting on muscle, if you don't see any improvement in that, and it's because you're only lifting somewhat every 2 weeks, tough for your body to get used to any exercise you introduce to it, because it's like every 2 weeks, it's like, oh, you're starting from scratch again. It's like, that's a terrible idea. And I get it if you're like, Alicia, well, during that part of my cycle, I'm depleted, I'm tired. Then we have to look at the other levers that are possibly contributing to those symptoms. Yes, I'm talking about your nutrition. It does play a vital role in terms of how severe those pre-menstruation symptoms can be, in that if you adjust that nutrition lever, they might not be as bad, and you might be able to lift during that week before your period. And yes, that also means not eating the types of foods that are encouraged, which I think is a huge mistake. Why would you eat something that makes your symptoms worse? If you're trying to improve your lifting to aim higher, you don't want to poison yourself. Yes, I said the word poison because that's exactly what some of these lower quality junk foods are. So in terms of cycle syncing, yes, learn about the cycle, learn about the different phases in your cycle, but don't get wrapped up in not lifting at all during your luteal phase, because that's what's recommended, because that's where the moon is and the sun. Just keep lifting, all right? Even if it's not as hardcore as what you did during your follicular phase, it's okay. Just lift the weight. Inconsistency. This goes with number 1 in not working hard enough, because I've seen people that have been going to the gym for months and months and months, and they look the same, not only looking the same, but they're also lifting the same weight. So showing up is key, but when you're there, you gotta put in the work. You gotta turn the dial and put in some effort when you show up for yourself. And sometimes the sessions might not be to your standards. What I spoke about, a session happening during the week before your period, it might not be fireworks and you're hitting all the PRs, but guess what? You at least hit the same weight you did last time. You at least stuck to that same rep range, and you brought in similar type of effort. You were in that range that kept you in the game, and that's all that matters. You're not going to be jazzed for each and every session, and not each and every session is going to be spectacular, and that's okay. That's why it's important to keep track of your workouts, because If you get too wrapped up over the few workouts that were like less than in your eyes, but you saw over the course of the year how many squats you did, how many pull-ups you did, how many rows you did, how many workouts you did on a whole, and you saw those few workouts that were like, man, you're like, look at all the work I did over the course of an entire year. A workout here and there that was like whatever to you isn't going to affect the bigger picture. So yes, zoom out so you can see all the work that you've done, and that comes with consistency and not bypassing those workouts that you think are going to suck or you felt that suck because less than what you were expecting to do. You still do them and it adds up over time. Believe me when I tell you. Poor recovery. I don't think overtraining is a thing for the regular person like me. Overtraining, I feel, more applicable to athletes who are just getting after it all the time because they're paid to do so. But for us, I think it's more so poor recovery. We're not feeding ourselves well. We have poor sleep hygiene. We have poor sleep quality. We're not managing our stress well. Those, I feel, play a far larger role in how we are recovering or not recovering well from our training. And when I mean feeding ourselves well, prioritizing higher quality foods wherever you are on the nutrition spectrum from vegan to carnivore. Choose your higher quality macros, ensuring that you're getting all your nutrients and the building blocks you need to build the muscles. If you're on your device before bed and the brightness is on 10, if you read a stressful email or a comment that was mean right before bed, that's going to put you in a tizzy and not in a restful state at all. If you're training before bed, the high lux light that are usually found in gyms and just being exposed to that light before bed does affect your melatonin levels because it rises or starts to rise as the day progresses. And when exposed to those higher light levels, it could affect how successful you are at falling asleep. Caffeine use, making sure you're not having pre-workout if it does have caffeine, 6 p.m., okay, and having 5 cups of coffee a day. You know the deal. You've seen the sleep videos, okay? It's just a matter of putting these into practice and not zeroing in on the training itself, but how better you can recover from your training to make better gains in the long term. And number 7 is a random one, I guess, in my eyes, is poor exercise selection. And this kind of goes in with programming, randomized programming, paralysis by analysis. You have to experiment and find out what exercises are going to yield the best results for your body. But it's important that you choose the exercise that's going to target that muscle group, but give it the stimulus it needs for the adaptation you wish to achieve. If you would like a bigger tush, the glutes love a loaded stretch, the eccentric part of the exercise where the muscle is contracted but in a lengthened state. Think at the bottom of a squat or the bottom of an RDL, a Romanian deadlift. If we look at the squat, for instance, the glutes are stretched at that bottom position under load. Now they have to produce hella force to get your pelvis back up. That's what they love. Same thing with the lunge. If you place your front foot, for instance, on a riser and you go lower into the lunge, guess what? That puts a deeper stretch on your glute. It now has to work hella hard to get back up. Doing the crab walks with the band is not going to make your glutes grow. Doing the kickbacks without any load, it's not going to make your glutes grow. Just because you feel that it's burning, the burn is not necessarily a direct proxy for muscle building adaptation. The signal is just too weak for your glutes to grow from any of those exercises. And I get it. Women love to do them. They love to do the crab walks. They love to put the band around their legs. They love to do the kickbacks to oblivion. And their tushes are still small and they're weak. Same thing with your shoulders. My shoulders burn from washing my hair, but I didn't get these shoulders from washing my hair, especially if I'm doing that once a week. I'm getting them from the various types of presses, whether I do them with dumbbell or barbell, in front of my neck or behind the neck, lateral raises, rear delt crossovers. Those exercises are what best target the shoulders in a way that will get them stronger and bigger, because the exercise calls for that adaptation. It's a strong enough signal for that muscle group to then grow from. Doing shoulder circles, although it burns, it's not going to grow my shoulders. Where's the load? Where's the stretch? How are the shoulders producing force in this manner? They're not. They're producing very little force, circling in this way, but not in the way that's going to give you the bolder shoulders. Now, if you don't want bolder shoulders, then that's fine. Then you don't do those exercises as often. Maybe you do a lower rep range, 6 to 10, instead of the 8 to 12 or the 10 to 15. There are ways to manipulate your program that will still get you strong, but not necessarily grow your muscles, because I know that is a myth that is still prevailing, especially among women. Lifting's gonna get you bulky. I've been lifting consistently for 2 years, and let me know down below from what you've seen on my Instagram and from the clips that I've shown if I'm bulky to you. Do I look bulky to you? I love the lats that I developed. I love how my back is growing. I love how everything is growing, and I found a way to target these muscles that will yield the physique I'm looking to achieve, but also create a strong body that I'm looking to build. So hopefully these suggestions help. Let me know down below what your suggestions might be. If I missed anything, I have my online coaching link down below in the description box where you can sign up for a call and we can speak about the details and see if I'm a good fit for you. And of course, if you have any more ideas for me in regards to filming about fitness, programming, what have you, let me know down below and I'll see you in the next one.